Hi everybody, I am Crystal from The Energetic Alchemist, and I wanted to do a video today just to say hi and let y'all know a little bit about me here in beautiful Austin, Texas. The weather is so gorgeous today. I am what Source would call a constant contact channel. I am in a vibration where I can be, and all of you can as well. This isn't some special thing, but I am in constant contact with my higher self. We have constant back and forth chatter, and my higher self, the primary component that I speak with is called Auxil. And boy, does he keep me in check when I need it. But yeah, it's been a really beautiful journey, and I started the Energetic Alchemist in January, and that has been a beautiful, beautiful unfolding. Kind of a little bit of a whirlwind, how everything just really came together. But I'm ever so grateful for being in contact with the people that I've been able to be in contact with, and the energies that I've been able to bring forward for a lot of people's healing. It's humbling, to say the least, and it's been really eye-opening as far as like my purpose and why I'm here and why we're all here right now, which I think is so cool. I really wanted to make this video though because I have had some really cool experiences recently, and so has my partner. And I wanted to share them because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are going through these things that are like, whoa, what was that? And we just really don't know. It's new. The energy that's coming to the earth right now is really, really new. And I feel like I know we are on the precipice of a very large shift within our humanity. And the people who are really connected right now are already going through it, and the rest of humanity is going through it. They just don't know what's really going on. I've been on my journey since I was, well, all my life really, but when I was 12 years old, I really threw myself into this mode of self-discovery and what this is all about. I knew there was something greater than myself, and it didn't line up with what I was being taught. I grew up primarily in a Catholic household. And by Catholic, I mean we went to church on Sunday, and that was it. But the ideals of Catholicism were still very much ingrained in my my upbringing, you know, the rules of the house and the things that were said and all of that. And it really just didn't resonate with me. I knew there was something bigger, and I knew it was something that was loving and non-judgmental, and I really, really had this deep desire to figure out exactly what that was and what that meant and where it was all coming from. So around the age of 12, 13, 14, I started going to like Barnes and Noble, and I'd be that weird kid sitting in the self-help section reading all of these books. And I mean, I would read books on self-awareness, and I would read books on, you know, finding your calling and finding your authenticity. I was always a very happy-go-lucky kid, and growing up in that kind of environment, I felt really suppressed. I had to shut it down for everybody else. And I knew that wasn't what was out there for me. So searching and searching and searching, and nothing profound happened in those early days. It was just a lot of learning to find ways to love myself, really. Beginning to not care what anybody thought, you know, and people would think I was rebellious or what have you. And I wasn't. I was just really trying to find my way in this realm of unconditional love that I knew existed, that nobody around me was really projecting or exhibiting. And I wanted to be different than that. I wanted to be what I knew to be true, but didn't have the tools at that time to really start to harness this energy. And I'll never forget the day. I was driving around with my best friend, and I think I was in 10th grade. And she was an acknowledged atheist. She did not believe in a God or a higher self. She had some things go on in her life that made her believe that there was nothing in this world that was helping us, guiding us, assisting us, that we were just all accidentally here. Sorry for the poor video quality. I am doing this on my cell phone just to get it out to y'all very fast. We were at a stoplight, and I remember she said something. I don't exactly remember the conversation, but immediately this download of energy came through my head, and I remember that feeling to this day. It's still never left. And with this passion that I've never, ever, ever been able to put words to, because it's still the energy that comes through now, I remember giving her all of this stuff, like, do you think this all happens on accident? Do you think, and I just lined up things that she would have maybe called a coincidence or whatnot. And I remember her looking at me that day and going, wow, what was that? And I sat back and I said, that's God. That's God. And that was life-changing for us both in that moment. That was my first time channeling. And it's been a really cool ride ever since. So that was, like I said, 10th grade. I'm 35, going on 36. So it was a long time ago. I was 16. I was 16. Oh my God. So time went on. I didn't really have a lot of those experiences after that. I've always been one to see spirit and feel spirits around me, especially when I was younger. When I was younger, I had lots of experiences like that. But as I grew up, I shut that down, because in my own consciousness and being aware of the people around me and how they're reacting to me, I knew that the world, my world, wasn't ready for what I had within me, and I shut that down big time. So it wasn't until 2006, I want to say, I had a family member commit suicide. And while the death part was shocking and something that was very unexpected, I wasn't as sad as I thought I was going to be. But what I did notice in those moments is that I could feel him so strongly, so intensely. But I felt him in the way he was prior to taking his own life. I felt the desperation. I felt the sorrow. I felt the guilt and the shame. And I knew it wasn't me. But it wasn't until later that I really understood that this was his way of communicating with me after he had passed, because when he had gone in that energy from the ways that he did, his soul still had so much healing to do, that in those quick moments after he had passed, he was still sitting in the vibration of when he had taken his life. So all of these things were just really leading me into really wanting to know what's going on. Really, really wanting to know what's going on outside of this, everything I can see, taste, feel, and touch in front of me. And shortly after the suicide, I want to say maybe a year, I was given a book. I was given the Ask and It Is Given book by Jerry and Esther Hicks. And my friend was like, you have to read this book. My friend from Panama, she had it in Spanish, and she actually went and found it for me in English and gave it to me. And she's like, you have to read this book. We were obsessed at that time with going and seeing psychics and the channels, and just really in awe of that energy and how these people could tap into these unseen things. And she gave me that book, and she said, just read the beginning. Just read the beginning. So I read the preface, and I read the story of Esther and how she came to channel. And I was just in awe of her again. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. I could never do anything like that, but this is so cool. And then I started to get into the book. And at that time, I didn't know about the laws of attraction, and I didn't have as high of a conscious awareness, and I couldn't really get into it. It wasn't resonating with me. So I put it down. I want to say it was under my bed for 2 years, a year and a half. I think I pulled it out. I pulled it back out in 2008. And I read it, and it shifted me big time. I started practicing the laws of attraction. I started using it to manifest really cool things in my life. And I became fascinated with this energy. And I practiced this all over the place pretty consistently. And then I had some times where I was going through some really hard times where I didn't practice any of it. I just kind of let it all go. I was like, it just, when you're not in that vibe, you're not in that vibe. And, there were some hard times in my life where I really wasn't in that vibration. So none of that would have called me. And then I moved to Austin, Texas, from Dallas, Texas, in the spring of 2015. And in the fall of 2015, I met my partner that I'm with now. And she too is interested in all things law of attraction. We call it woo-woo. All things woo-woo channels. I mean, she's listening to Crimson Circle and Bashar, and she's a little bit older than me. So she has been around in this energy a lot longer than I have, and had studied quite a bit of it. And we would have these conversations about the universe and the energies, and my mind was just being blown open by these new concepts and perceptions day after day after day. Gosh, this is getting really long, so we'll cut to it. So when I started telling her about the things that I was seeing and what I can tap into, and that I had some fear-based things around it, she really opened me up to finding ease in it and finding comfort in it. And at the same time we met, my spirituality blew up in all the best ways, but I also, at the same time, was thrown into this, and I don't want to say thrown because it was my choice, but I really had to work through my stuff. It was like all of a sudden, everything that had gone on in my life that had made me feel the way I had felt my whole life, that had held me back, held me in a lack consciousness or in an unworthy consciousness, it just cracked me open. And I processed and I processed and I processed. And last year, I was really determined to get out of that processing all of these old energies. I mean, I did this for a long time. I mean, and this cleaning house, while yes, I signed up for it, and I definitely signed up for the fast track, I wanted it done and over with, and I get that now. But back then I was like, oh my God, can this just stop? It's like a roller coaster that just goes and goes and goes. It's like you feel good for 2 days, and then you feel horrible for a month, and then you feel great for 2 days and better than you've ever felt. And then all of a sudden you feel horrible for another month. And I was just like, oh my God, can we be done with this already? I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't know what I was setting myself up for. she had talked about some things, some channels that she was listening to that were getting into, this fifth dimensional consciousness and where we were heading. And I don't know if it's that I didn't understand it or I just wasn't connected to it at the time, but I decided after about a year, maybe a little bit more, of being on this roller coaster that I was going to get off. I'm done. Whatever it takes, I'm going to get off this roller coaster and I'm really going to start doing my work, because clearly there's something I'm not lining up with. There's some sort of energy that is being brought into my life that I'm just really not lined up with, because there is no reason I should be attracting these kind of things, So I decided to start a 30-day meditation. I woke up every morning, 6:30, and I sat in my chair with my crystals, and I do heart math, and I put my little clip on my ear, and I put my soothing music in, and I meditated every single day. And I want to say about 25 days in, I got in the bathtub, and I started receiving, throughout the 20 days, I did start receiving a lot of downloads, but I didn't know then what they were. I was just receiving this energy that was really shifting me. It wasn't like I had all these crazy new thoughts. It was just all of a sudden my perspectives were really changing. I was being guided to work within timelines, and I was being guided to do some dimension hop exercises that I'd found, where you kind of bounce in between dimensions and realities and try and work with these different timeline aspects of yourself. And I was really enjoying it. It was cool, but I didn't see any big differences at the time. Now looking back, I see how it all lined up. So I got into the bath this one particular day, and I decided to do a little meditation. I was feeling a little off balance, and the bath always soothes me. So some Epsom salts and some sea salts, and got in, and I'm laying there, and I just felt this urge to sing. And that's not that far off from my personality, because I love to sing anyway. But man, these tones and sounds that started to come out were not from me. They really weren't. And I didn't know at the time about toning, but that's exactly what I was doing. I was toning. I was basically singing tones or frequencies that were realigning the vibrations within my body. And I was toning and I was toning, and I was like, wow, what was that? And then got out, and I had texted my partner and told her about what I was experiencing. Oh, cool. That's so cool, And I sat down in my meditation chair, and I just grabbed a pen and a piece of paper, and I was like, it just kind of felt like drawing, which I've never done before. So looking back, this too is kind of strange, out of character. And I started drawing these shapes and these symbols, and they were just coming to me, and my hand was so fluent in them. It's like I would see it in my mind's eye, and then immediately they would be on the paper. It was like there was no disconnect between these symbols that I was seeing and what I was putting on the paper. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Like, there are plenty of times in this entire story that I'm telling you right now where I literally thought I was losing it. I'm a pretty sane person. I mean, I can be a little whimsical and daydreamy, and, as my girlfriend says, I'm a little fairy, which I don't mind. I mean, my name's Crystal. I mean, come on, let me be in my space, right? But never in a million years did I really think that this was the path that would be for me, especially coming from where I was and being so fearful of even just seeing spirit. So I started drawing these codes, and I showed them to her, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is big. And I'm not one to research spirituality. I'm not one to really tap into what other people are doing. I just know that whatever's kind of coming from and through me, it's mine, and it is what it is. And I don't necessarily always try and label it or define it. I just kind of let it come in, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then my higher self will always allow me to have a definition or a perception of what's going on. But this was different. So I immediately was like, what is this? And I started looking these up, and nothing was really clicking. Nothing was clicking at all. So I let it go. And I drew these codes every morning for 10 days. And one afternoon, I frequently will go on to YouTube and I listen to everybody. I want to know what everybody's getting, what everybody's doing, but that didn't start until this point, you know. So I started going onto YouTube, and I was listening to a lot more channels on YouTube throughout my day and seeing what everybody's doing and what they're saying. And I came across Judy Satori, and something just kind of clicked. I listened to like one of her audios, and if you don't know Judy Satori, definitely look her up on YouTube. She is a beautiful, beautiful teacher of light language and light code. But I found her, and then I was like, oh, so is this what that is? And sorry, we have some, I live right here on the woods in a little trail, and there's a little girl walking her dog. She's so cute. So found Judy Satori, had the realization that these were actual light codes that I was drawing. And so I was like, okay, that's all I really need. Started continuing drawing the codes, and there was a psychic fair coming up here in Austin, Texas, a metaphysical fair. I was like, let's go. We have to go. I have to talk to somebody. It's time to figure out what's going on with me. And my channeling was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, but nothing was really coming through about these codes or what they even mean. I had no idea. And for the first time in my life, I did actually just sit back and was like, okay, this is new. We're going to go with it. I know they're going to give me information when the time's right. And so we went to the metaphysical fair, and I sat down with this lady. And prior to sitting down with the lady, I went into the bathroom. I'm doing my hair and getting ready. And I said to Auxil, who I didn't know names at the time, just said to my higher self, I really want to know what's going on with me. I want to know about this energy that's coming through. And since I started my true spiritual ascension in 2015, I haven't been able to get a good reading. People don't really read my energy, and I couldn't really figure out why. And now I know it's just because I'm a little bit more galactic than their perception of spirit and soul can be. So not a lot of them could kind of pick up on the vibes or the people around me or anything like that. So he said, when you show up, you will find the perfect person to give you exactly what you need. And I was like, okay, perfect. So we walk in, and I had to go to the bathroom really bad because we had had coffee on the way, and my partner went and checked out who the practitioner was that was sitting, off in the corner, the first one that we had seen. And she came back and she goes, okay, so she's a psychic, and she's a medium, and she's this, and I don't know if this is who you want to see. And I just looked at her, and I was like, yes, sign us up, of course. Because I had known that they were going to come through and give me exactly what I needed, because I had been asking, and they told me that. And I'm in this process of learning to trust the information that's coming in. So we sat down, and I looked this woman square in the face, and I said, because she's asking if we have any questions. And I said, this might sound a little crazy, but I talked to my guides today, and they told me that you were the right person for this. They told me to tell you that this energy was going to be new for you, but that if you breathe regularly and do your deep breathing, you will be able to pull in the answers that I'm seeking for myself. And she stared at me, and like a flush of red went up, and you could just totally tell she was getting nervous, because I think in that moment she tuned into my power and my power of channeling. And at that time, I wasn't even aware of how powerful my channel was. So she goes, okay, I don't know where to start, and I don't know what to say to you, and I'm going to do my best. Okay. And this sweet woman tapped in, and she told me that there were 3 beings around me, and these are 3 galactic beings, which I had already known that there were 3 beings with me. I had known about the first 2. Oh, goodness. We have a little chihuahua that needs attention. I knew about the first 2. I spoke to Octura, who is my soul fractal divine feminine. And I had been speaking with her for a little while now. And then there's also Ardon, who is my divine masculine fractal, who I had just recently started speaking with, maybe about 3 or 4 months previously. But this new energy that was coming in with these light codes, this was all brand new, and I had no idea who this was. Pardon me, he would like inside. Go inside. Okay. So I had no idea what this energy was, but she started to pick up on it, and she said, you know, you have 3 beings around you, and they want you to know that you're on the right path and you're divinely protected. And she said, I just see all of these symbols floating around you. And I didn't really tell her about the codes. So she's like, I just see all these symbols around you, and they placed you in a pyramid, a copper pyramid, and they put a key in my heart and said that I have everything that I need within me now, and that I'm open. And they had kind of activated this energy around me, and that going forward, I'll be giving all the answers to all my questions. And she said a lot of other things too that were really cool. And she said that this energy will continue to develop, and that eventually I will be speaking the energy. She's like, it's like another language. It's like another language. She too didn't know what it was. I don't even, to this day, I mean, I've never seen her again. We've gone back to this place multiple times, and I've never seen this woman there again, because I really want to sit down and be like, thank you. You know, you gave me the space to allow myself to kind of become without having to feel like I was in fear or doubt or any of that. But we never saw her again. So we leave, and I continue drawing my codes, and about a week or 2 after that, I had my first real conversation with Auxil, and he said, my name is Auxil, and I am your future self, and I'm the one that is trying to guide you through this life, but I am of the 13th dimension, and I'm of such a high caliber frequency that you cannot regularly tune into me yet. So I need you to keep practicing. I need you to keep doing your codes, because they're changing you. They're changing your genetic kind of wiring. They're rewiring you, and reorganizing the energy within the DNA, and allowing the DNA to open up in places that it's never been open to. And the more you do this, the more we will be able to communicate. So I just kind of set out on this mission, and I began drawing these codes, and I was doing it all the time. And I think my first code that I drew was in either September or October of 2017. So it hasn't been that long, but it just keeps getting more intense and more connected and more beautiful. And so where we are today, I created the YouTube channel, and I began working with clients. I do light code transmissions with my drawings, and I also do them verbally. And when you receive light transmissions verbally, it redistributes the energy within you to allow you to hold more light. And it also allows you to download information that maybe your consciousness can't completely hold yet. But then as you assimilate and reorganize within, you begin to perceive and see your world differently. It's like an expansion. It just opens you and opens you and opens you. And it's been an amazing experience. All of my clients that I've been working with have been so amazing, so unbelievably amazing. And I recently met a young woman from Toronto, Canada. Hey! She is just such a joy to work with, and she's so open, and she also is doing some really cool stuff on rekindlingspirit.com, so go check her out. But yeah, I have been so blessed on this journey, and Augzil is now coming to me regularly. I am channeling him every single day, and we're talking about a lot of really cool stuff. And one of the things that we've been talking about lately is the event and the ascension process, and how we can all kind of get through this all together, and that we all are really here in this time. We all signed up to be here in this time together to raise the consciousness of the planet as we go through this big shift. And it's just been so eye-opening and such a blessing. And I feel so grateful. I feel so grateful for everything. So with that little introduction, I know we're getting really heavy into time, but I want to talk about some of the things that have been happening recently. So, about a month ago, I want to say the beginning of March, my girlfriend and I moved into a new place here. It's gorgeous. It's on a trail. It's in nature. We came out of the city a little bit. We were in the old place that we were living. There were some cell phone towers and stuff like that. Literally right outside of our window. We had our fuse box in our bedroom. And there were just a lot of energetic things that were kind of hindering me. I am super sensitive to energy like that. And I just wasn't sleeping. I was up all night, and you could feel a lot of like destructive energy. So getting away from that was such a blessing. And now we're out here and things have totally shifted. So within our first few weeks of being here, my girlfriend, who's also extremely spiritual, she doesn't channel per se the way I do, but she does her own thing, and she's written some books, and she's a very high conscious being, and so it's been really awesome being able to bounce all of this cool stuff off of her and talk to her about the things that I've been going through, and this whole embarkment, I don't know, what would you even call embarkment? I don't know. I make up words. It's a thing. So she woke up one morning, and she, in the past, has had kind of like some doomsday Armageddon dreams that really rile her up. Like, you can tell it goes against everything that she wants, and it pushes on her ego, and you can feel the resistance. And so she woke up one morning with this dream, and she said it was kind of Armageddon-y. She's like, I don't know what it was. There was like this huge... she's like, I don't know, it kind of looked like a fire. She's like, it was this big wall of smoke, but it was rainbowy, and it was coming at me, and it was so intense, and I was staring at it, and I was like, okay, I just have to lay down. She couldn't handle it, and she just got down on the floor and laid down, and then she said that it just washed over her, and then she woke up. I was like, oh, interesting. Well, I didn't really think too much of it, I was like, well... I was like, there's a lot of energies coming in right now. There's a lot of energy waves coming in right now. Maybe it was just a processing dream. Didn't think too much of it. Literally a week later, I'm on YouTube listening to some channels and stuff like that. And I see, I wanted to hear something new. I go through these phases where I'm like listening and nobody's giving new information or talking about new things or new energy waves coming in or anything like that, or new experiences, and I'm just over it. So I found the QHHT sessions with Alice & Co. and I listened to it, and I like couldn't even get through the first 20 minutes without losing it. I pulled in the driveway and I ran into the house and I was like, babe, you gotta hear this. You gotta hear this. Stop what you're doing. You have to hear this. And so she came into the living room and we sat down and we started listening to the video of this, and where Allison is talking about her client's description of this event of ascension that we are going through right now. And I looked at my girlfriend and I said, this was your dream. This was literally your dream 2 weeks ago or a week ago. And she was like, really? She didn't remember it. She had already let the dream go consciously. And I was like, oh my goodness, like there's something really big going on right now. So I started to ask Auxil about these energy waves coming in and the events. And mind you, he's very galactic. All of my beings are galactic. And by galactic, I mean they are my cosmic brothers and sisters. You could think of them as aliens. I don't like to use that term because it brings me into Hollywood and Independence Day with Will Smith, and that's not what these beings are about. These beings are extremely high conscious beings, and some of them have a physical apparatus and some of them don't. Like Auxil has a physical body, but he mainly operates from his light body. And Octura and Ardon are not physical at all. They are completely light body. And so I started talking to him about these things, and I'm like, what's real? What's true? What's going on? And, you know, he told me that there is an event going on as we speak, and it is very energetic and very electric, and that the atoms in the air are changing, the atoms in the earth are changing, the molecular structure of the humans are changing, and just gave me a lot of really cool information about all of this stuff that's going on. So, of course, I'm like, well, I want to experience it. Why does she get to experience it? And they're experiencing it, and I'm not experiencing anything, you know, typical ego flare. And he was like, oh, everybody's going to experience it. I mean, this is the ascension path of the world. We're all going through this. And he said that you could kind of think of it as like the fingers are reaching the earth and the palm is like the bulk of it, which isn't quite here yet. And he said, you know, it's coming, and it is being called upon by our higher selves, our humanity's higher self, and all the light workers out there. Your higher self has come together with the collective consciousness, and everybody's higher self is working together to really bring forward this energy, and that we all signed up for it. This has all been a part of the divine plan all along, and there's no stopping it. It is definitely coming here. And they said it's going to be something tangible. It's going to be something that you will actually feel in the moment. It's not going to be this airy fairy ideal of energy, and it's definitely not going to be something that comes in and just hits us and we're all changed forevermore and automatically transported onto another planet, because it's not going to be like that either. He said that it's going to be a light. It is a light that is on its way to the earth from the galactic central sun, just like everybody else is saying. And he's saying that when this light begins to come over the earth, it is going to change the consciousness of not only the earth, but of the people, and that we are all going to be raised to the next level. And then when we are raised to this next level of consciousness, we are going to be able to interpret the things that are going around in our world differently. There's been, because there's been a lot of societal programming, and the constructs of society right now are not built in favor of your God self. They're built in favor of something else, a different consciousness. And I know that the consciousness that I'm in and the consciousness that I'm growing and building is one that's leading more towards oneness and truth and love and harmony and peace and all of these beautiful things that I am creating in my everyday by creating this energy within myself, but I also can't wait to see it within the world. So he's saying all these things, and I'm like, okay, well, I want to experience that. And I keep going through this. Well, I want to experience that, and I want to go experience that. And so I went to bed one night. I'm laying in bed, and this is maybe Ogzil's little cosmic joke on me, but I'm laying in bed, and I'm conscious, but I'm falling asleep, but I know I'm still aware and I'm still present. And I am shown a tree in my mind's eye. And immediately after the tree is there, this white dove, almost glowing white dove, flies into the tree. And as the dove sits in the tree, like the moment the dove sits in the tree, and I knew instantly that the dove was God or Christ consciousness, source energy, whatever y'all want to call it. I knew that that was the purest form of love that exists in the universe. And immediately I was filled with this intense feeling of love and bliss. And it literally was like a flash. And then afterwards I was like, oh my God, my heart was beating so fast. I was like, what was that? What was that? What was that? And Ogzil, jokester, immediately said to me, you were just able to hold the light for 1/4 of a second. Imagine what's going to happen to you when this light hits your planet. That made me think a little bit, because I know I work on my consciousness, and I stay open to different ideas, and I work every day at carrying love and going out into the world and really not necessarily speaking it to people, but just being an example of what it means to be in a 5th dimensional consciousness. And I love it. And it feels good to me to be nice to people and just spread love. I mean, if I were to have a hashtag on my back, it would be spread love. And it boggled my mind that I could only hold this energy for 1/4 of a second. And then I started thinking about, okay, wow, well, when this energy does show up, what is that change going to look like for all of us? What is that change going to look like for all of us? So on Wednesday evenings, we have at my house what we call Woo Woo Wednesday. And we have some friends come over, and generally I go into channel, and they all line up their questions for Ogzil, and we really get into some conversations about the universe and what's going on, and is the Illuminati real, and all of these things, and where are we heading as a humanity, and how can we better serve our place in the world with what we have, with where we're at now. And it's a really cool experience. And one of the things that Ogzil's saying, which I think is really important to talk about really quick, and then we'll be done for today. One of the things that he's saying is that this change, this event, yes, it is going to be something that needs to come from within first. But this energy is coming into the planet, and we as light workers, instead of listening to all of these dates and finding ourselves sitting in disappointment, we really need to keep the expectation that this change is coming, because no matter how it shows up, the ascension process is in full effect, and we all know it because we feel it. And my partner, like I said, she's a little bit older than me. So she was going through her own journey, back in like Y2K and 2012 and all of this. And she experienced all of those and had a lot of disappointment afterwards. So for her, it was like kind of hard to get excited about the ascension process within this event topic that keeps coming up. And Ogzil is saying, you got to let the disappointment and expectation go of the date, and you need to hold yourself within the energy of it's already here and it's going to continue to come. And the more we can do that as light workers with expecting this shift and expecting these new changes, the more we're going to usher this in, and we're going to bring it in, and it's going to change everything. And it's not going to just change everything overnight. even after the light comes, Auxil says, you know, we have an assimilation period. It's going to be like the light comes and it's a huge download for everybody, including the planet. And then afterwards, it's our responsibility to take this new energy and this new perspective and this new, these new ideals that we have about ourselves and our world and what we want our schools to be like for our children and all of that. It's our responsibility to take those and go out and make these changes. And you can start doing those things now. We don't have to really wait for this light to come. Although when the light does come, it really is going to intensify it. Whatever level of consciousness you are in now, it is really going to bump you up to the next level, which I find incredibly exciting. Not that I can't do it myself, because I've been doing this myself this whole time. Well, you know, myself. And speaking in terms of not having an event. But it is really important for us to stay excited about what's coming. And it's really important for us to continue to hold the light. You know, Auxil made a really good point when I was doing one of my group channelings with the girls on Woo Woo Wednesday. You know, he said, just hold the light. Just hold the light. He said, if we told you you were going to die tomorrow, you would change your patterns of thought. But we're telling you that you're going to live more than you're living now, and you're still refusing to change. And that really struck a chord with me, because a lot of times we only want to make changes when we know we're going to benefit from some certain outcome. And I think it's time as light workers we really start to make these changes within, just because it's time, and it's time for us all to change, and it's time for us all to carry more love, and it's time for us all to be more friendly and compassionate. You know, this world needs a lot more compassion. I mean, it's all in divine order. So in the places where there aren't compassion, I do see the purpose in that also. But I know what I want, and what I want for us all going forward is to live in a very much more harmonious space, peaceful space. And I really do know that we're getting there. So keep holding the light, y'all. Keep holding the light. This has been a really long video, so I'm going to go ahead and end this for today. There's a lot of topics coming up, and I'm really excited to move forward with some new videos. And I won't be doing them on my phone, so I won't be jiggling and all over the place, and hopefully the audio, you can even hear me. And I know you've probably heard everybody else out on the trails and my dog, and so thank you for your patience with that. I love you guys so much. I love all of you. I love my clients that I'm working with, and I love my friends, and I love all of you that show up on my Instagram and everything. You know, we really are doing some beautiful work here. And even on the hardest days, you just have to know that where you're heading and where we're all heading. Oh, I'm going to cry now. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm a little emotional. I participated today in the worldwide regression with Candace and Alice and Co. And I just had a really beautiful experience, which is what my next video is going to be about. I was taken out of my body and transported through my light body to a place, and they really showed me a really neat understanding of what's going on with this ascension process and how everything's being prepared for this next step that we are coming into right now. So happy new moon, everybody. Write down your intentions and set forth with your new beginnings and what you want to see transpiring over the next month, over the next 30 days. We're in some really beautiful times. I do plan on making more videos like this. If you're interested in any of my work, you can email me at energeticalchemist@gmail.com. I'm on Instagram and obviously here on YouTube. I put up a lot of my light language channels and all of that good stuff. So today's been so much fun making this video, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you get to enjoy the rest of your weekend. I love you all so much. Bye.